Okay, I just want to go over doing a repair on an ITL machine. This one, for a long time, I was using as parts, so it needed the power supply rebuilt, and there's something wrong with the computer board. So what was wrong with the power supply, I still haven't put this rivet back in, but you see this component here? This was burned out, so we got a new one of those and soldered it on. I got to put a quarter-inch pop rivet in there. And I did replace all the capacitors, the caps right there. These are brand new. Put heavier duty ones on. So now the power supply works fine. As far as, I'll show you what does though, because there's something wrong with the board. Let me turn it on here. So I better plug it in. Okay. So when I turn it on, the motor kicks on, but nothing. But once in a while, I'll get it to. I'll get the. Okay. See how all the LED lights up and then it stays solid. Okay. So then on the working machine, what happens is, let's turn this off here. It just kicks right in to move the jaws left, jaws right. So it never even gets that far. Unplug this. Flip this over. Okay. I already got the panel off here. So what we're looking at is you have your EEPROM here, which is your processor, and that's an 8 gigahertz processor. But I tested it; it's only running. Basically, there will be a program in there, so it could change speeds, but it's running at about 3.4 megahertz right now. These chips here, one is for your spacing and one is for your depths. And you could test these. These are your CMOS chips. If you go here in the schematic, right here is your power points. You should have 5 volts across here. So those are fine. What I suspect is a problem, when you're looking for a problem in a circuit board like this, it could be anything. It's always heat that causes the problem. So the first thing, I haven't pulled this off, so I'm not sure what kind of chip is on this heat sink, but I suspect it's this heat sink here that's not allowing the circuit to complete. Okay, and you got a couple other chips here. You got this little chip right here, and this chip, this is your timer, or your space timer chip. So what this does is this is going to send your power to your processor, and then it's going to send it over to here, and that's your spacings in order for it to kick the motor on. If you notice, when I turn it on, the motor's kicking right on. So this chip might be bad, so I might have to replace that. That is soldered on the board. I am going to replace all these capacitors over here because sometimes they're the problem too. So I don't have a schematic on this, and the manufacturer's not a big help. So I kind of got to play it by ear and just go through it component by component. So you always start where heat is, and you're going to work yourself up from there. So we're going to replace these capacitors. This transistor that's on the heat sink, I'm not sure what part number. I got to pull the board in order to read it. If you look down there, I think there's 6 wires that are soldered in. Okay, so we'll do those first, and then we'll test it. The ones I don't want to replace are your depths and spaces here, so hopefully those are good. We could always put a new processor in, but it won't have the software in it, so that might be an issue. I might be able to get one of those from the manufacturer. I don't know. That possibly could be part of the problem. But So anyways, that's where I'm starting right now. I'll do another video on what I actually find is wrong with this. But I'll just give you a rundown on the machine. The machine was working fine. And this is an older machine. I've had this since '96. I called the manufacturer when it died. They said, we don't work on any machine that old anymore. I said, okay. So I just had it sitting here. But then my other machine went bad. So I went and pulled out this motherboard and I put it into my other machine. And then I took that motherboard and put it in here. Then my other machine worked. So I know there's a problem with this motherboard. But then down the road, my power supply in the other machine went bad. So I took that power supply out, put it in here in this power supply, and put it in my other machine. So basically, both of these had a problem. So because of how expensive this machine is, I decided to try to fix it, and I know how to solder, so I ended up fixing the power supply, so that's within specs, and that works fine now. I'm just going to try to replace these components and give it a try and see if we can get this back up and running. It was a great machine. I've never even had to replace the blade on this machine because a code machine, you really don't cut that many keys. It's probably only cut in its life maybe 500, 1,000 keys. You know, you're cutting keys by code, so it's not too bad. But everything I could find on the chips, I did pull up. That's a blue photograph of it. Anyways, this is just all the stuff I found that I looked up online about the chips to figure out how to test them. And so hopefully I can get this up and running. I'll do another video and let you know if I get it running or not. Hopefully we do get it running, and this will help somebody else that has some of the same problems with it. But if you have a bad power supply, I could totally tell you how to fix it. You're going to pop off that transistor with a heat sink on it. Okay. You're going to replace both of those capacitors. When I say caps, capacitors, and those capacitors, and that should, and you put a new fuse in, of course. That should get you up and running on your power supply. So then I'll let you know what I find out on this motherboard. All right, signing off.